Coming up next on Lakeland News at 10, it was a day for idea gathering for Bemidji's proposed Civic Center. The Crow Wing Crisis Line celebrated its 10th anniversary. And later on, we head into the garden for our first installment of Becky's Bloomers. Lakeland News at 10 is next.
The Northwest Minnesota Foundation is a charitable foundation committed to improving the quality of life for residents of Northwest Minnesota.
Your local public television station presents Lakeland News at 10. News for Bemidji, Brainerd, and all of the Lakes region. Dennis Wyman with the news, Stacy Christensen with the weather, and now Lakeland News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. A preliminary design for the proposed Civic Center is expected to be completed by Labor Day. As you might expect, there's a lot of work to be done between now and then, and it all begins with the gathering of ideas.
The goal over the next few days is to get input on what exactly people want the proposed Civic Center to look like. There are many options and many ideas.
What we need to do is determine the interest of the community in activities. We know that there is an interest in using it for hockey, but there are also interests in using it for trade shows. And all of these things can be accomplished.
Triebwasser and consultants working with the Civic Center Committee hosted an open forum in Bemidji today to begin gathering ideas from the public.
I think that really is the key. And then we can sort through the potential activities, those that we think really would work in this type of facility, what any special accommodations might be.
This is a fact-finding mission at this point, but from here things will begin to move quickly.
We're hoping to have information back by the middle of August so that we can have a rough idea of what this facility should entail.
We will go through and mirror the fact-finding as to what the facility should be in a building, in a facility. And we will then do site studies to determine which sites would best accommodate the facility. And we would look at that very objectively. We will probably narrow a number of sites down to probably 3 that we would do a real detailed study on.
It's estimated that construction time from start to finish for the project would take 18 months. The U.S. Senate today gave quick approval to a $500 million disaster aid package for farmers in the upper Midwest and elsewhere. The plan leaves it to the Agriculture Department to decide how it will work, but the aid would be restricted to areas that have received disaster declarations 3 out of the past 5 years. The plan must still be approved by the House of Representatives. Groundbreaking took place in Red Bee today as the Red Lake Nation prepares to erect a facility designed to build modular homes. Some of the homes built at the facility will be used for housing at Red Lake and other reservations around the United States. We'll take an in-depth look at the project next week on Lakeland News at 10. The fight over subpoenas for Secret Service agents in the Monica Lewinsky case has reached the Supreme Court. The Clinton administration asked the justices to step in after losing a key decision in a lower court earlier in the day. Skip Lasher reports.
The head of the president's security detail and other Secret Service officers were at the U.S. District Courthouse in Washington Thursday morning, subpoenaed by independent counsel Ken Starr to testify before the grand jury. Starr wants to know whether any of those who guard the president and the White House know firsthand anything about the Monica Lewinsky matter. Michael Liebig is the attorney for 2 uniformed officers.
The ones I represent do not know about some vital, embarrassing, blockbuster event.
Because he's chief of the security detail, Larry Cockle is most days literally right next to the president when he goes anyplace, possibly close enough to hear conversations Mr. Clinton may have had with his personal lawyers. But Cockle and the other Secret Service personnel did not testify Thursday. A 3-judge appellate court panel granting them a stay, but only until noon Friday. Almost immediately, the Justice Department, representing the Secret Service, asked the U.S. Supreme Court to continue the stay until the High Court can decide the matter.
As a human being, if Bill Clinton knew that these guys could go in and testify and clear him, of course he would want to do that.
But McCurry says Mr. Clinton understands the Secret Service concerns that if its agents and officers have to testify, this and future presidents may keep them out of earshot, thereby making an assassination attempt more likely. Even though the Supreme Court is not in session, a spokesman says it is available to deal with any request by the Justice Department to continue the stay and thereby keep Secret Service personnel out of the grand jury room. Skip Loescher, CNN, Washington.
And still to come on Lakeland News at 10. The boat launch at Lake Plantagenet will soon be under construction. We'll update you on that, as well as some improvements at the BSU Park House.
When I need inspiration, I first go to the landscape. It gets my head going. Art and environment, they support each other. I need that. And if I can't find it, I check out PBS.
Look around, and you'll see the future. Those who will take dreams we've yet to have and make them come true, and others who will answer questions we haven't begun to ask. Of course, we have no way of finding the next Edison or Van Gogh, so we give them a place where they can find that gift for themselves on the children's programming of public television. Perhaps the finest minds in history are here now. Where they go tomorrow is entirely up to us.
And now, more news with Dennis Wyman.
The Crow Wing County Crisis Line is celebrating its 10-year anniversary tonight. 2,000 candles are being lit in Gregory Park in Brainerd to represent the more than 20,000 calls that have been taken over the past 10 years. The Crisis Line is a 24-hour phone line that serves people in Crow Wing County. It is a service that helps people in crisis or before their problems become a crisis. Calls are answered by trained volunteers, and without the volunteers, the Crisis Line wouldn't be what it is today.
The commitment that they have to being there, to taking those calls day in and day out, to helping people that they don't know, and to doing this work without any acknowledgement at all. Anonymity and confidentiality are two big pieces of Crisis Line. These folks will never be acknowledged publicly. And that's the kind of thing, that's sort of the driving thing that keeps me interested, keeps me wanting to come up with events like this that we can celebrate around who we are.
The Crisis Line numbers are locally in Brainerd 828-HELP and toll-free 1-800-462-5525. The Lake Plantagenet boat launch just south of Bemidji will be open for about another week before a construction project begins there. The project was set to begin today, but a contractor delay has set it back until next week. Workers will be rehabilitating the whole site. The boat ramp will be reset with new concrete blocks. The access road and parking area will be blacktopped. The project is expected to take between 2 weeks and a month to complete. Well, work has begun on a new patio and walkway at BSU's Park House. The patio will be used for receptions and banquets. It's being financed by alumni pavers being sold for the patio. The walkway, which will allow the front porch to become handicap accessible for the first time. The Park House is the only house in Bemidji listed in the National Historic Register. They hope to have the project completed by BSU's homecoming in September. Well, Stacy Christensen joins us now with the weather, and the one thing I've really noticed the last few days beyond the beautiful weather is the drop in the humidity.
That's right. After the rain showers that we had on Tuesday, the humidity levels have been much lower. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to climb back up in just a short period of time. I'll have your local forecast up next.
I'm Louis Rukeyser, inviting you to join my friend and colleague Mary Farrell, who will be sitting in for me this week as host of Wall Street Week and talking with a top strategist from Mid-America. He's Alan Skaranka of Edward Jones, the brokerage firm whose model portfolio beat all its competitors last year. Let's see if he can repeat for us.
Tune in Friday night at 8:30.
Next time on Austin City Limits, Oz Skaggs.
Hey boy, you better bring the woman round to the sad old truth of the low down.
I want to be in Paris.
And 8.5 souvenirs.
Well, I want to be in Paris. Meet romance and meet the boys.
Watch Austin City Limits Saturday night at 9.
And now, the weather with Stacy Christensen.
Well, it was another gorgeous day out there today with the temperatures quite comfortable and the humidity levels quite low. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be heading back up quite soon. Let's take a look at the current conditions. In Bemidji, it's fair and 63 degrees. The humidity is at 58%. The barometric pressure is at 30.11 inches and falling, and winds are from the northwest at 6 miles per hour. In Brainerd, it's cloudy and 65. The humidity is at 78%. The barometric pressure is at 30.11 inches and steady, and winds are calm in Brainerd. Looking at the current temperatures, you can see it's quite comfortable around the state. Mostly 60-degree temperatures, but there are a few 70s. Little Falls was at 70, Minneapolis is at 72, but for the most part, quite comfortable. Look over here in Fargo, only 58 over there. So we are seeing quite nice, comfortable temperatures around the region tonight. Of course, looking at the national scene, you can see again the southeast is experiencing some cloud cover and some rain, some thunder showers. Parts in the Carolinas actually received over 3 inches of rain today. So they are having some problem with the flooding and things, but of course it's good news in Florida once again as the rains are helping the firefighters keep those fires under control. You can see also this system moving into the northeast now. This is going to bring some relief to Boston. These are kind of the same systems that had been affecting us, and with the rain they are going to get some relief from the heat. You can see it was only in the 80s there. Some places did reach 90s. Boston for the third day in a row reached 90 degrees. It's quite unusual there because the humidity levels are quite high, so it did feel warmer than that, and they are looking forward to the rain. Over here in the west, of course, the big temperature story. Look at the high temperatures. You can see parts in the southwest. Phoenix and Las Vegas today experienced 116 degrees, so it's quite warm down there, and of course 100-degree temperatures reaching up quite far, and of course look at the 90 degrees all the way through Montana and Idaho into Washington and Oregon. Makes me glad I live in Minnesota where they're a little bit lower. The lows from last night in the 40s, 46 in Roseau, 48 in Bemidji, 50 degrees in International Falls, 57 in Brainerd, 65 in Minneapolis, so quite cool. Looking at the highs today again, quite mild, 70 in Roseau, 70 also in Bemidji, 73 in Brainerd and Alexandria, 75 in Fargo, 79 in Minneapolis. Looking at our radar, an upper levels disturbance has brought some cloud cover and precipitation into the state. Not exactly what people are looking for because we have had quite a bit in the last few days, and of course this is very light precipitation, nothing really to worry about, and the good news is it will disappear by midnight. And of course, this is all due to this high pressure system. Like I said, these will disappear. The high pressure system is going to keep us a little drier. It's going to keep the humidity levels down just a bit. But like I said, they will be on the rise soon. For tonight, like I said, the showers are going to be greatly scattered and they will disappear by midnight, giving us partly cloudy skies. The winds will be light and variable. The low should be in the mid-40s. For tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. The high should be in the upper 70s, possibly a couple of 80s. Winds will be variable, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow night, we're going to see partly cloudy skies once again, lows in the 50s, and on Saturday, partly sunny. The humidity is going to be back, and it will be warmer. The highs should be in the mid to upper 80s. Looking at our extended forecast, on Sunday, there's a chance of some showers and thunderstorms. The highs should be in the 80s once again, the lows in the 60s. And on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be partly cloudy. The highs once again in the 80s, and the lows in the 60s. So Saturday looks like the day the humidity is going to be back.
Pretty much typical summer weather.
Yeah, nothing to be surprised about. Once again, I would like to mention that we do have an Eagle Eyes network starting up. We have had some respondents. We will supply you with a thermometer and rain gauge if you call us in. If you're interested, the number 1-877-440-NEWS. I'll be at extension 111. And just whenever you're able to call us with weather information from your hometown, we'll feature it on our nightly broadcast.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Stacy. Coming up next in sports, they call it the British Open, but it was a day for the Americans today. Mark Brewer with the details next.
Oh my God. We're under attack.
Help me. He's carrying me in half.
The enemy, our own planet.
Mudslide, fires, earthquakes. The volcano is blowing up.
Molten fury. Apocalyptic. Hell's crust.
Earthquakes come.
Deadly rumble.
Get out.
Restless planet.
Nightmare.
How can we save ourselves when the very earth is angry?
The earth giveth and the earth taketh away.
Savage Earth.
See it on channels 9 and 22, Sunday night at 8.
Next time on Nova, lightning, hot, powerful, and deadly. No one knows exactly what causes it or where it will strike next. Now, scientists race to capture the elusive lightning bolt. Lightning strikes next time on Nova.
Be sure to watch Nova Tuesday night at 7.
Enter the world of National Geographic. Hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, big enough to be seen from space, powerful enough to destroy cities. While most people try to escape the howling winds, these researchers race to confront the massive storms. The cyclone is about to touch down, only on the world of National Geographic.
Tune in for National Geographic Tuesday night at 8.
Okay, Mark Brewer's here now with sports. They talk about the British Open historically being a real windy tournament. Today, not really the case, was it?
Calm, complete. Who would have guessed it? Certainly not the players. It is the British Open, but from looking at the first round leaderboard, one would think it was being held on U.S. soil. An unbelievable day of almost no wind at Royal Birkdale left the course mighty friendly. Tiger Woods had a tremendous day, nearly driving the 411-yard ninth. This is his second shot there, right up to the pin. And his putting, which has failed him recently, came back to play. I think that's the difference for Tiger today. Friend Mark O'Mara suggested a new putter, and look what it does for Tiger. By golly, it puts him in the lead. As he sinks the long putt there on 13. John Houston came on strong on the back nine. He was outplayed by Tiger on the front, but here Houston, an eagle putt on 17, long distance. But the best thing about watching professional golf is, it's not always great play. As Ernie Els takes a chapter from my book, missing the ball completely. His first shot went about 3 feet. His second shot missed totally. Let's take a look at the leaderboard thus far. There's Houston and Woods, 5 under. Nick Price, Fred Couples, Lauren Roberts tied for second there at 4 under. Tom Lehman comes in shooting a 34-37, which puts him 1 over par. Well, Andre Miller, who led Utah into the NCAA championships this year, heads the 12-man U.S. basketball team chosen to play in the Goodwill Games starting Sunday in New York. Minnesota Gopher and U.S. coach Clem Haskins also named Jermaine Jones from Georgia and Elton Brand from Duke as probable starters. Also named to this elite 12-man team are former Minnesota prep star Khalid El-Amin, now at the University of Connecticut, and Quincy Lewis from the University of Minnesota. While the Twins had a poor offensive outing last night against Seattle, the Mariners pitching gave the Twins a hard time. Twins 6 hits and only 1 run, playing late on the West Coast again tonight. Right now, another pitching duel as Brad Radke and Randy Johnson have only given up one hit all night long, and that hit by Seattle. They're in the top of the 4th, zip right now. As we get to the AL scores, Toronto over Chicago 5-2, Oakland over Kansas City 5-3, Boston clubs Cleveland. Wakefield with 11th win. 5 home runs in the game. Of course, you can't win with 15 runs. What can you do? Detroit finally beats New York. Baltimore over Texas. Tampa Bay over Anaheim. Those games early on. In the National League, Atlanta wins again over Milwaukee. Montreal doubles up Pittsburgh. Philadelphia's Leiter gets his 20th save over New York. Los Angeles with home runs by Sheffield and Mondesi pound St. Louis 8-2. Registrations are now being accepted for the annual 15th Lady Beaver Invitational Golf Tournament, there you go, held at the Bemidji Town and Country Club. The 18-hole event will be conducted under the 5-person Texas Scramble format, which enables teams to play the best shots of different players over the course. The small entry fee covers, are you ready? Breakfast, golf, Lady Beaver apparel, golf balls, tees, lunch, complimentary gifts, snacks, and juices. All kinds of stuff going on. To register for this event, which takes place on August the 7th, and that's a Friday, with the shotgun start at 9 a.m. Call the Foundation office at the David Park House, 218-755-2762. This event is the largest annual fundraiser for Bemidji State University women's athletics. Well, plans are complete for the 1998 archery deer hunt at Camp Ripley Military Reservation already. The DNR and Department of Military Affairs agreed to permit archery deer hunting on October 15th and 16th and October 31st and November 1st. A total of 3,000 permits will be issued. You think it's a lot, don't you? Well, applicants who were not selected in last year's drawing have preference status this year. They'll receive applications and instructions by the mail no later than Monday. Archers that were chosen to hunt last year must enter in the general drawing. They will also receive information by mail Monday. The deadline to return those applications is August the 14th. Well, it was a tournament of champions of such that took place tonight at Bemidji's Cameron Park. Dubbed the Lifeguard Olympics, the event pitted community education lifeguards against the city's guards for a number of events, but mostly it was just for a good time.
We're just, we have 2 groups of lifeguard staffs that are getting together just to play some fun kind of loony games, a couple that are actually maybe a little bit physically fatiguing, but mostly fun games that we're doing tonight, and they're just, the 2 staffs are competing against each other. We have about 8 to 10 from each staff, so we should have, you know, about that many, 15 to 20.
We're going to start out with a sandcastle building contest, and at the same time they'll also be going on a underwater swimming for distance, and right after that's done we'll be doing a rescue tube joust, and once that's done we'll do the judging of the sandcastles, so it'll give them about an hour to build their sandcastles. Then we'll be starting with the watermelon relay and the tug of war, and I think the last event will be the scavenger hunt. Just to have some fun, have a little camaraderie, because it's going to be the beach guards against the pool guards, and they've been talking a pretty good fight, and we've been, I guess I should be, I've been talking a pretty good fight, so okay. It should be a lot of fun and a lot of competition.
Well, it's Thursday night, time for our weekly check of fishing conditions for the Brainerd Lakes area. Here's Todd Andrus from Marvcap's Bait and Tackle.
It's been good. Bass and northerns have been really fantastic. Walleye's been a little slow. We're kind of waiting for the fall bites. The bass, they've been running Texas rigs and right off the deep break lines on the cabbage beds. At night, they're moving up shallow using scum frogs or topwater and the lily pads and rushes. This weekend, fishing should pick up. We got some stable weather kind of coming in. It might rain Sunday, but the walleye action should pick up a little bit. Northerns are still biting really good. That should continue through about the rest of the summer. Muskies have been a little slow here. Mille Lacs has been really good. Lake Alexander, Wabadoo, they've been seeing a few fish, but Mille Lacs has been catching the most. That's a 35-mile drive from our area. This weekend I'd work deep weed lines during the day, 12 to 17 feet of water for bass or walleye. Northern pike would be 10 to 13 foot. You could run a spinner bait with a sucker minnow on it, or just a simple Lindy rig will work.
Okay, great. What's your favorite fishing?
The business base.
Coming up tomorrow, we'll have a look at fishing conditions in the Bemidji area as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks.
Finally, tonight, time for what will be a weekly Thursday night feature called Becky's Bloomers. Each week, gardening expert Becky Livermore will take us into the gardens around our area. Tonight, she begins her weekly feature with a look at a popular flower.
Isn't this about the sorriest geranium you ever did see? It's still blooming, but the leaves are turning yellow and they're dying off. Geraniums really like it hot and dry, and we've had anything but in our North Country spring. If your plant looks like this, maybe it's suffering from the same thing that my plant is. It's waterlogged. It sat out here in the front step, and it just got too much of the spring rains. Now we can do one of 2 things. We can either toss this in the compost pile, or we can wait. That isn't an easy thing for us gardeners to do, but it can be done. There are 3 things, though, that we can do to make this plant look nicer and be a little healthier. The first thing we should remember to do is to deadhead this plant. That is, to take off those spent blooms so that they don't go to seed. I just pinch them off. The next thing that we need to do is to take off this yellowing, dying growth. We don't want this around. Get rid of it. Don't let it sit underneath in your plant. Reach under there and get out all those dead leaves. The third thing that we should do is we should give this plant a shot of fertilizer. I have some water-soluble fertilizer here, mixed half strength. I'm going to give this plant a good drink of fertilizer. One thing is that container plants oftentimes have their nutrients leached out when they get overwatered. So we as gardeners need to make sure that we give it a shot of fertilizer. So that's what I'm going to do here right now. The other thing to remember is that ordinarily we don't want to over-fertilize geraniums. If we do, they become all growth and no flowers. But in this case, this plant really needs some fresh leaves. And so it's going to get a good drink, and then we're going to set it back in the sun. And in 2 or 3 weeks, it will be just as cheerful as ever. I'm Becky Livermore. See you next week. Happy gardening.
Okay, and again, the humidity will return.
The humidity will return on Saturday, where it looks like we'll have a chance of some evening showers and thunderstorms, and again showers on Sunday.
Okay.
And Dennis, believe it or not, 8 NBA owners said today they'd be willing to wipe out the 98-99 season to get what they want out of the current labor dispute.
I wonder if they took a look at their books before they said that.
So.
They may have to do that. Thanks for joining us, everyone. That's Lakeland News at 10. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night.